It was a night of glitter, emotion, and redemption. After months of controversy and chaos, the Miss USA pageant finally returned to the spotlight. But this time with a promise of change. When 22-year-old Audrey Eckert from Nebraska was crowned the new Miss USA, the crowd erupted. Tears streamed down her face as gold streamers filled the stage at the Grand Sierra Resort in Reno, Nevada. For a brief moment, the pageant world seemed to exhale. This wasn't just another crowning moment. It was a symbol of a new era for a competition that's been through one of the most turbulent chapters in its 70-year history. Audrey's story captured the audience. A digital safety advocate and former cheerleader, she wasn't just there for glamour. She wanted to use her platform to make the internet a safer space for everyone. Beating out 50 contestants from across the country, she stood as a beacon of optimism for an event that has long struggled with image and identity. As she fell to her knees in shock and joy, the message was clear. Miss USA was trying to start over. But this victory didn't come easy for the Miss USA organization. The past 18 months have been nothing short of a nightmare. The pageant was rocked by scandals, resignations, and lawsuits that exposed deep cracks behind the glitz and glamour. It all began when Miss USA 2023, Noelia Voigt from Utah, abruptly gave up her crown, followed days later by Miss Teen USA, Uma Sofia Srivastava. Fans were shocked, but things took a darker turn when Voigt's farewell message seemed to contain a hidden code. The first letters of each sentence spelled out, "I am silenced." The internet exploded with theories. What was really going on behind the scenes of America's most iconic beauty pageant? Soon, allegations surfaced about mistreatment, toxic work environments, and restrictive non-disclosure agreements that prevented winners from speaking out. Voigt claimed she was left without proper support and even described a disturbing incident where she said she was sexually harassed while on official duty. The pageant's former president, Layla Rose, denied the allegations, but the damage was done. Miss USA's image had taken a serious hit, and its future was uncertain. Then came the turning point. In September, businessman Tom Brodeur stepped in, announcing that he had officially acquired the Miss USA and Miss Teen USA pageants from the Miss Universe organization. He promised transparency, safety, and what he called a new era for the competition. Brodeur, who also founded Brodeur Beauty, wanted to move away from the culture of silence that had haunted the organization. He spoke openly about removing the strict non-disclosure agreements that had stopped former title holders from sharing their experiences. For the first time in years, there was hope that Miss USA could rebuild its credibility. Still, the transition wasn't without drama. The former president, Layla Rose, continued to post on Miss USA's official social media accounts, claiming she hadn't seen any contracts confirming the ownership transfer. Her posts were quickly deleted, but the confusion only fueled more headlines. Lawsuits followed, with both sides accusing each other of breach of contract, damages, and reputational harm. It was a messy legal fight that played out publicly. But behind it all, Brodeur kept his focus on restoring the competition's integrity. When the curtains rose in Reno for this year's Miss USA, it wasn't just another beauty pageant. It was a chance at redemption. The event was billed as the start of that new era everyone had been talking about. For 5 days, contestants from all across the country competed in everything from swimwear to evening gown showcases, along with interviews and tough Q&A rounds. The excitement was palpable, but so was the awareness that this year's show carried more meaning than ever before. Audrey Eckert, representing Nebraska, stood out not just for her poise and grace, but for her confidence and sincerity. She spoke passionately about her advocacy for digital safety, a topic she's championed as part of her mission to protect young people online. When her name was finally called as the winner, she broke down, overwhelmed by emotion. The crowd roared. Gold confetti filled the air, and for a few shining minutes, It felt like Miss USA had turned a corner. Adding to the night's significance, reigning Miss Universe Victoria Kjær crowned Audrey herself, a break from tradition, since last year's Miss USA, Alma Cooper, was absent. But perhaps the most emotional surprise of the night came from Noelia Voigt herself, the former Miss USA 2023, whose resignation had set off the pageant's biggest scandal, returned to the stage as one of the hosts for the official online broadcast. Her presence was symbolic, a reminder of the past, but also a gesture of reconciliation. Just a year ago, her story had shaken the organization to its core. Now, seeing her smile under the lights again felt like a quiet sign of healing. The evening also celebrated diversity and inclusivity in a way Miss USA hadn't seen before. This year's competition included over a dozen women aged 30 and above, after organizers lifted the long-standing age and marital status restrictions. Among them was Miss Delaware, Tetra Shockley, who made history as the oldest contestant at 44, and Miss New Hampshire, Mona Lisa Brackett, became the first competitor to ever wear a hijab on the Miss USA stage. For many viewers, these changes represented genuine progress, proof that the pageant was evolving to reflect the real faces of America. This year's Miss USA also marked another first. It wasn't broadcast on television. For the first time since 1963, the competition skipped a traditional network and was streamed exclusively on a specialized beauty and pageantry platform. While some longtime fans missed watching it on TV, others saw it as a smart move toward modernizing the brand and reaching younger audiences online. It symbolized how the organization is trying to reinvent itself in the digital age, aligning perfectly with Audrey Eckert's advocacy for online safety and awareness. The event's new structure and presentation gave the competition a fresher, more authentic energy. Without the pressure of live TV ratings, it focused more on storytelling, personality, and purpose rather than just glamour. Judges asked contestants meaningful questions, from media representation to the future of artificial intelligence, sparking deeper discussions on stage than fans were used to seeing. And when the winners were announced, it felt less like a show and more like a celebration of resilience and renewal for a legacy that had almost collapsed just a year ago. Audrey Eckert's crowning moment was more than just personal triumph. It was a symbol that Miss USA could still stand for empowerment, even after everything that happened. As gold confetti fell, she promised to represent her country with pride and compassion. Her next step? Competing at the Miss Universe pageant in Thailand next month. The United States has always been a powerhouse in that global contest, with 9 winners in its 73-year history. Now, all eyes will be on Audrey to see if she can bring home the 10th crown. What's striking about her win is how naturally she embodies the modern Miss USA. Someone who values advocacy, inclusion, and digital responsibility over perfection. Her authenticity and intelligence have already earned her fans across the country. People are calling her victory a reset, a chance for Miss USA to move beyond its scandals and rediscover what the pageant truly stands for: confidence, character, and change. For an organization once tainted by silence, Audrey's voice might just be the beginning of something new. As the lights dimmed and the audience cheered, one thing became clear: Miss USA had survived the storm. It wasn't perfect, and it still has work to do. But Audrey Eckert's victory marked a hopeful turning point. After years of controversy, lawsuits, and heartbreak, the pageant finally felt like it was finding its voice again. And fittingly, that voice belongs to a 22-year-old woman who advocates for digital safety and empowerment, a reflection of how beauty pageants are evolving beyond tiaras and gowns. Audrey's journey reminds us that grace isn't just about walking a stage. It's about standing tall when everything around you is falling apart. Her win represents a generation that demands change, transparency, and purpose. Whether you're a longtime fan or a first-time viewer, this year's Miss USA felt different, more honest, more human. So what do you think? Has Miss USA truly entered a new era? Or is this just another rebranding effort? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates on Audrey's road to Miss Universe.